What's the craziest thing you did just because you were horny? Picked up a pen in high school and accidentally saw this girl with pink lace panties. I went to the bathroom nobody used except during after-school events and jerked it. Ended up dating her 2 years later as a senior and told her about it. I guess she had a crush on me and remembered it because she spread it on purpose when she saw me drop it. I was still embarrassed though. My boyfriend was taking me home late at night and I had strict parents who didn't want him staying over. So we stopped at a 7-Eleven on the way, pulled into the entrance, and couldn't wait to park or properly situate ourselves. Banged in the back seat with the door wide open and a security camera behind us. I was also already 15 minutes past curfew. Ah yes, the 7-Eleven, everyone's favorite hookup spot. It's a one-stop shop. Bang it out with your boyfriend, get some gas, a slushie, and snacks. We must know, why was your door wide open? Was this a logistics issue of being able to both fit in the back successfully? I bet the clerk later enjoyed that video footage. Tugged my rowboat, if you will, while on a cruise with my family. My dad was sleeping in the other bed. It had been 2 weeks, so the lady going over how to put a life vest on properly really got me going. I drove 3 hours to pick up a girl and drove her 3 hours to my place to do the dirty. I then drove 3 hours to drop her back off at her place and then another 3 hours to drive back home. So, 12 hours in total of driving just to get laid. At least I finally got to go balls deep in someone for the first time and experience what it's like to get a blow from someone who actually had experience while doing it. Unfortunately, I never lasted long due to my inexperience, and since she wanted someone confident who knew what they were doing, I was a massive disappointment for her, and we never hooked up again. Still, we did the dirty, and she was hot. Hey, do what you have to do, bro. There is no shame in getting that first time out of the way and gaining some experience. Good job taking care of yourself first. I appreciate the dedication and drive of this guy too, and it's a good reminder that great things come to those who wait. Apparently, not for the girl though. I was driving and having trouble staying awake, so I called a girl up and started having phone sex. I was on a small 2-lane highway and it was raining its ass off. I started getting into it and didn't initially realize I'm starting to point my toes on the gas pedal. At some point, I look down and I'm nearly going 90. So I nearly crashed from being tired behind the wheel, and then I nearly crashed from inadvertently going 90 in a 55 during a rainstorm. Befriended a Ukrainian cam model who happened to be the same age as me and in university studying geology, and then did nothing sexual at all for months and just chatted whenever she was online with her taking occasional breaks for private shows. Eventually, she asked for my Skype, and we talked on and off for hours, and she gave me an unsolicited private show for free. One day, she never logged back on, and we've been living our separate lives, but I've always wondered what happened to her. Okay, let's have a moment of silence for this poor guy and his naive mind. Bro, you're really telling me that this cam girl randomly asked for your Skype and not the other way around? She has one goal and one goal only, to make money off of you. So let's say you actually got a free private show and then she disappeared. That is 100% because she realized she was never going to extract any money from you and she had better things to do. Nice story though. I was talking to one of my really good friends on AIM a few hours back in high school and she told me she was watching an adult film and she was horny. I was actually 15 and a virgin at the time and I joked about coming to get her and bringing her back to my house, as my parents were out of town. I didn't think she was actually going to say yes, and then she did. I walked 5 miles at 12 at night, and she snuck out and walked back to my house. We ended up talking in bed for about 30 minutes before I finally got the balls to make my move, and I ended up finishing in about 5 minutes. We took a shower, and a round 2 in the shower, and it was amazing. She ended up telling me she could barely walk, and her legs were shaking like crazy, so I ended up having to give her a piggyback ride nearly 5 miles. I got her home at like 5:30 in the morning before her parents woke up. Hooked up with my best friend's older sister at a music festival. She was in her early 30s and we were in our mid-20s. For some reason, my friend wanted to sleep in a smaller tent and said that me and his sister can sleep in the bigger tent. At the time of the first night of the festival, she laid down next to me. I knew she was on a common festival drug, while myself, well, I was drunk. But I knew that her lying down was no accident, so I touched her, and a minute later, she was going down on me. I came almost immediately, and she had nowhere to, dispose of it. She also told me the next day that she actually wanted to bang, but I didn't even think of pursuing that because I thought my friend might hear us through the tent walls. Have you ever heard the joke about hooking up at a music festival? It's intense. Probably a good call to keep things quiet as well, but I would at least guess that there are other tents nearby and you guys could not have been the only ones doing it, right? Also, nowhere to dispose of it? It's called swallowing, I believe. Was with my friend at my place at midnight during junior year of high school. He's talking to this girl on video chat, and that girl has a pretty cute friend. They're at the cute friend's house, and her parents aren't there, so she wants to bang someone while she has the house. Cute friend tells the girls this, and the girls tell my friend, and the friend tells me. He wants to go see this girl and says, I'll probably get laid, but it's a 2-hour walk. A half hour into the walk, it starts to rain. We weren't sure if we should go back, and then said, F it, and went for it. Ended up getting there around 2 a.m., soaked to the bone. Got it in, though. When we were in our first year of college, my ex and I used to bang in the back seat of my car all the time, and it doesn't have tinted windows. We would do it in broad daylight too, and quite a few times people walked by, regardless of how secluded an area was. I also hooked up with a guy on a beach chair at night, right on a public beach. Someone ended up stealing his bag, and he had to chase them down, butt naked. Was away for work and in the hot tub in a hotel at like 5 a.m. after working an overnight. They opened the pool up for me early because I made small talk with the guy at the front desk and asked him. Was moving in the hot tub when I noticed that the jets were blowing super hard. Casually directed my manhood towards it and wondered if it was blowing hard enough to make me blow a load. Exited the tub to grab a newspaper so it would look like I had a reason to be facing the opposite way in the hot tub. I started reading the paper while I let this jet, and I didn't even know, give me one of the most satisfying BJs I've ever received. I came like the moon. No shame in my game. I was watching and no one was around or really awake, and I got out after my wood subsided and went to bed drained of all my fluids and dignity. Okay, cool story, bro, but probably didn't happen. A couple of things clued me in here. First, why would the hotel staff just open up the hot tub for you just because you asked? That doesn't make any sense. Second, the fact that you think a blow job literally involves blowing instead of sucking makes it pretty obvious that this story is complete BS. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible to get a pleasant feeling from the jets of a hot tub, but unlikely it resolved in the most satisfying BJ you have ever received. I don't think this guy has ever received any BJs. My high school sweetheart and I lost our virginities to each other on our school ski trip in a hotel room full of people, probably pretending to be asleep. I mean, I wouldn't mind effing in front of other people in general, but maybe they should consent to it first. Also, with the same girl, we were upstairs at her parents' place and got super horny. So we just started having crazy, not thinking about what we're doing. After we were done, I realized that we had just banged on her 5-year-old brother's bed. Her mom then wanted to know why we were washing her brother's bedding, but no one else's at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So effing embarrassing. Maybe I'm late, but here's my story. I was 17 and a virgin, and I was very into a girl and tried almost everything to get her to like me, but without success. 3 months later, I was hiking with some friends when we saw her and one of her buddy's ex-girlfriends. They were camping with friends for a birthday. My buddy's ex invited us since she knew I was her friend. None of my friends wanted to spend the night there, so we went back to our camping site, which was 1 hour away by a hard trail in the middle of the woods. Later that night, I went back there alone with my cell phone light. Did not lose my virginity, but got 90% of the experience. Okay, what exactly does 90% of the experience consist of? Is that basically everything leading up to the moment of penetration and then nothing happens? I hope this guy at least got something that was worth all the extra hiking and peril associated with hiking in the dark. When my now husband and I started sleeping together, he was still living at his parents' apartment to save money because he was in school. One time, nobody was home, so we were having adult time in the living room, but locked the door so we'd have a heads up if someone was coming in. Nobody ever came home while we were doing it, ever until this time. I was on top, and suddenly we hear someone trying to come in. The door is usually just unlocked unless I'm there because they know I always lock the front door because it's a bad neighborhood. And we just pull the blanket up and just lay there on top of them because that's the fastest way we can make things look like we weren't doing it. They came in, and she says, "Hi," and makes a little small talk while he's still in me. Then his parents walk into his room for a minute to put their bags away, and I hop off and lay next to him on the couch, spooning. But in the midst of hopping off, I half-nakedly fall on the floor and hear his mom coming. So I hurry to lay with him under the blanket, and his mom is sitting there talking to me while he sits there trying to still put it in me while she talks to me.